I'm going to show you how to do a timing belt on a Mitsubishi Lancer. This is the 2-liter that's been found in Gallants and a bunch of other cars for a long time, including many Hyundais. This particular motor is a very simple, easy motor to work on, whether you're doing a valve cover gasket, which is located along this line, or a timing belt, or whatever. I just love my new laser pointer. I'm going to make you guys so sick of this thing. But this one's a little different. This is a 2005, and it's a little deceptive because you look at it and you're just like, oh, it's a 2-liter. You just want to give it a hug, give it some love. But this one's a little funky, and some of the reasons for that are this bracket here. It looks like an alternator bracket attached to a motor mount bracket, and that's exactly what it is. You can pull the bolt out of the backside and separate the two. It's a little 12 millimeter, so I was hurting my finger. But I just pulled it all as one piece. This is kind of an order of operations kind of a job. The first thing I like to do is I like to undo the top of the motor mount. These 3 bolts that you see up here, I undo those first, support the motor, get it up, and that gives me the ability to move the motor up and down. And the way that I do that is I have a wood block, as you see here. It's like a chunk of fence or something. I take that and also a jack and jack up from the oil pan and support the motor. I don't lift the weight of the car by any means. Don't do that. You'll wish you didn't. You smash the oil pan. But anyway, once I have that off, I also pull the other part of the motor mount. You see the motor mount that's right here? This part, this hole here, goes clear back underneath over here. Yeah, you can't see that. There it is. It's glowing. Now you can see it. And I just let it stay up in here. You can't pull it out because everything's in the way until the covers and everything else are off. But the other thing about this job that's an issue with the order of operations is the pump's in the way. Specifically, this hard line that you see right here, this hard line from the pump goes right in front of the timing cover. And that wouldn't be a big deal if you pull it out or pull it up or whatever. But the timing cover on this, I want... The Jewish people have the coolest words. Words like yada 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 and shlemiel and just like all these other kind of things. I don't have a word for this, but if you're Jewish and you're watching this and you have a word for this, please tell me. What they've done is they've taken the crankshaft position sensor, which is down under here. See that little cutie right here? This is a crank sensor, and it goes on the exciter ring that you see. It looks like bat wings on each side of the thing. But what they've done is they've incorporated the plug for it into the timing cover, normal timing cover or not a normal timing cover. There's an electrical plug in it. It's kind of clever. I'm giving them points for that, but made the job a lot harder. See, and it comes into here. So when you put the timing cover on, bam, it plugs it into the crank sensor. So basically, when you go to take that off, you have to have everything clear of that. You got to take the power steering pump off, and when you look at the bracket, that's going to tell you what has to happen the best. You'll take the belt off first, and to take the belt off, the serpentine belt, you got to loosen the little bolt right here, and then also loosen the little draw bolt that's on the end there. You do that, and then you can rotate the pulley to get through. See how it's got the little holes? You got the big oval holes and the circular holes, and through those, you get the bolts off that are on the face of it. See, there's one here, and you set them aside. And then also there's this one here that takes up the slack, just like an alternator one. So you take all that off, and then there's 3 different bolts that bracket it on. There's a bolt that's up on the bracket here, there's another one that's in the middle, and then there's another one further down the line that bolts onto your alternator bracket. So you get that up and out of the way. Once you got your power steering pump up and out of the way, it enables you to be able to get this one the rest of the way. So you pull out the tensioning bolt assembly that was in here for the alternator, get it out of the way, and then you've got to pull a bolt down underneath of here, one here, one here, and one here. This one has a bracket that comes back up to the bracket that's on the power steering pump. You'll want to get that off when you lower the motor. So you pull that out, and then this will come out. Once this comes out, then you can get this out. So when you go to put it together, you got to make sure you float this one in there first before you put that in, and put that in before you put this on. There was an old lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed the fly, but she had to swallow a spider to catch the fly, and she had to swallow a bird to catch a spider, and they all wriggled and wiggled and tickled inside. It's just a huge, one thing after another kind of process. But let's go, let's talk timing marks here, shall we? When you look on the lower side of this, now I'm juggling. I've got a laser, I've got a light, and I've got a camera all at the same time. See these marks right here? On the exciter ring, there's a little gold point that sticks up, and then there's a little nub on the engine block. Let's get a close-up. So that's what the timing marks look like on this little humajoma. So that's the lower portion of it. The upper portion, juggling act, get the light up here, is a notch in the pulley. You can see that I've marked it in white right there. There's a little notch. You follow the teeth back. And then what I like to do is I get out my little uni paint pens or Unipaint pens, and I mark on the back side back here, because you can see this is the little pointer that you go by. I put a little paint on that so you guys can see it. But I get those, I'll go by what's closest together. That gives you the most accurate layout. Now when you do the belt, the pulley that tensions the timing belt is this little guy right here. You see how it just takes up all the slack, and it's spring loaded. It's got a little spring down here that puts tension on it. So what I do is I'll loosen this little bolt right here, this little 14 millimeter. I'll take a pry bar or something on the old water pump, which is right here that I'm going to replace anyway, and I'll push it out to the left. And then while I have it pushed out to the left, I'll tighten this back down so it holds it out of the way for me. When you go to wrap the belt on these, I like to use, let me show you a couple of products that are just awesome. And these are not, I wasn't paid by them, but basically I get these little paper clip things from Staples. Sorry, I make you sick there for a minute. And I just basically clamp them onto the belt. And that way I don't have to worry about this changing or moving or any of that. I just clamp it on and then run down around the bottom and then to here, and then all the slack winds up here. So I start here, get it held on like a bookmark, and then wrap it around and so on, aligning the timing marks at the bottom, and of course making sure these are on when I do it. Now let's talk water pump, shall we? Let me show you one more product. That paint pen that I showed, these guys are going to go out of business if we don't all start buying lots of them. It's uni paint. And they're worthless around the office kind of, but under the hood and for mechanics, market these. These are awesome. They're amazing. You get a bunch of different colors, and then you can mark vacuum lines, you know, 2 red dots on this side, 2 red dots on the hose, and you know where they go. It'd be awesome. So anyway, products. Let's talk water pump. On the water pump on this, it's really simple. It's just after you get the timing belt off, you just, zing, 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 a few bolts here and there, and it's out. It's just this little guy right here. As I said before, come on, laser. Right there. Like I said before, these are a really simple engine. The 2-liter, I just want to give it a hug. I got a box between my legs I'm pulling a water pump out of. Here's what the water pump looks like. This is a GMB or Falcon head. You see the little Falcon head right here? These are awesome. I like them a lot. But anyway, you got a bolt here, 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 and here. Just 4 bolts, bam, it comes out. It's just a really simple one. So it's not too hard to do. What I do before you drain the antifreeze and everything, I'm going to back up just a minute. I missed something earlier. If you look down on the radiator on the passenger side, right-hand side of the vehicle, you see that little, looks like a wing nut. I'm on it. Got it. That little guy right there. So delayed reaction between the camera and what I'm doing, so it's a little hard. But basically you just undo that and drain it. You're going to have a bunch of those body clips that hold the fender shroud up underneath it here. Those body clips, I always hide them behind my toolbox so I can't run them over or smash them. But basically, when you look at them, they look like this. And you just put a little screwdriver, get them started, and then pop them up, and then they pull out. But you'll need to do that to get the little shroud out from underneath of there. Anything else I want to tell you? The main thing about this job, look at this light. I was juggling this earlier. That's a big old light. It does a good job, doesn't it? But the main thing is the power steering pump. If you try to leave this in place and wrestle around it, or if you try to, you know, do something with this bracket in place, it's just not going to work. You can't get the belt out of there, and it'll just create a lot of fuss. Sometimes we think it's faster if we pull less things off the car. Nothing could be further from the truth in many cases. This is one of them. The more things that you get out of the way, meaning the power steering pump, the bracket, the alternator bracket, the better. One other time-saving trick on this one is on the alternator. The alternator's back here. It's the first belt on. It's a little skinny one. Is I pull out the bolt here. You can just pull it all the way out. It doesn't even matter because you got to pull it off anyway. But the lower bolt, the one that's down here, the one that's clear behind there at the bottom, the pivot, I don't even loosen that. Am I a slacker? Am I a bad person for not loosening that? And the reason why is when you pull this alternator back, you know, well, how do you get it back? Do you use a pry bar? No, you grab the belt. When you grab on, say the belt's down here, grab this part of it with this loosened, you just grab this sucker and pull. Those belts are tough, they'll take it. You know, it won't deform them, you'll be all right. When you pull on that belt, it's like a powerful lever that pulls the alternator in for you. You've got a powerful bolt setup assembly that's going to pull it back, so you don't even have to loosen it. And the other advantage is if you have it held out of the way for you, it makes it easier to do this one. If it's flopping back and forth and this is rattling, you can't isolate where the slack is coming from. Now what I'm talking about is, say like this timing belt cover. If this is on there, and look at all the different bolts that it's got. I mean, it's got 5 bolts, you know, that hold this part on, and then you got a couple up here. Well, looking at the timing cover, I didn't pull this bolt till the end, and I'm all pulling on it and everything's coming, but something snags. But where it snags, it points to where it is. You know, it's easy to see with the bolt out, but with a bolt that's covered in all this crap and covered over, you don't see it. But, you know, with this, you know, you pull on it a little bit gently. You don't want to bust it, but pull on it gently, it'll reveal where the rest of the fasteners are for you. That's another little trick for you. So with the alternator held tight and with that bottom bolt in place, you know, it helps you to isolate where the bolts are and how to get that apart. So hope this is helpful to you. It's hard, you know, trying to get all of this information of this whole big job into a little, you know, video under 15 minutes and without having a lot of extra talk. So if you have any questions, you get stuck on this, I'll help you out. I check my questions quite a bit. Comments, leave it in the comments below and I'll get back to you. If this video was helpful, be sure to rate, thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this, click subscribe up there. It's just a little gray button. And if you see any ads that you like, click on them. That's where I get paid. I mean, this is like picking up aluminum cans. I'm not getting rich off of this stuff. I like to help people, but it's fun getting checks in the mail. It's like birthday cards or anything else from your grandma. So anyway, hope you like it. I appreciate you watching. Love you. I thought there might be a lot more clarity were I to show the power steering pump in its position. So that's the power steering pump. This is the hard line I was describing. And it goes underneath the motor mount and then back up over and mounts onto the alternator bracket on the back side there. See a little tab sticking out to the left. You see the motor mount? I just have it tucked in there. And the reason why I do that is in order to get anything to happen here, you can't put this in and out after the power steering pump's done very easily. But it's difficult but possible to do. If you have 2 hands, it's very doable. I'm just making it look a lot harder than it is. But you just get that motor mount in there so that it's ready to go in after the power steering pump's buckled into place. So that's that, and I guess that's it. Check the other video for getting the harmonic balancer off. If you're having a hard time with that, I've got a video on how to remove a harmonic balancer. I'll try to do a link in the video, but I'm still not very good at that. But if there is, it'll be right here.